Hi, this is JP. And today, Adrian and I are going to dive deep into a topic that a lot of people don't talk about: generational wealth. What is generational wealth? What are we even talking about? A lot of people are like, how do I talk about generational wealth? I got to make money for me. But you will get to a certain point, hopefully, in your process, in your journey, where you're like, I've done this. Now, what does this mean for my children? What does this mean for generations to come? And you guys have all heard the story of the second and third generation kids who kind of didn't have a point, didn't have a roadmap, and that the family finances and crashed and the kids became spoiled brats. We've all got stories like this. So then how can you properly do generational wealth? I actually had just the opposite conversation. This week, I met a great person who said, my grandparents really thought about my values for our family, and his values were around building communities. He says, I get to work full time helping transition homeless people because my grandparents early on had an idea of what our values were around wealth and generational wealth. And then they gave me an opportunity through the tools of planning money the right way to actually do something that I love to do. So literally this week, I am watching like something that was planned 40 years ago into action, helping humanity, and he's loving what he's doing. So I hope you enjoy the episode. You're going to see that it's not that easy. It's like, you're managing money, but then again, how do you not only just pass the money, how do you create family legacy? How do you create values that endure beyond you? And that's what the episode's about. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And we'll see you soon.
One thing right now, a lot of people have been asking about is kind of this generational wealth, estate. How do I pass it to kids? How do I set it up? What do I do? And JP, now we're going on the 17th year together.
Oh my gosh.
Which is crazy.
Crazy.
And we've had, from your Sony picture days, my therapy and investor days, we now have a lot of experience that brings good data. And we're doing a lot of these things personally.
We are. We have been for years, and now it's all coming together. Absolutely.
So, why not share some of the ideas and throw them out there for people to start thinking about generational wealth? What does that mean to you?
Well, it's interesting, Adrian. As I feel like when we start, I joke and say we're financial psychologists, right? We're helping to heal the unhealed. And one of the first things I ask people when they say is, I've got a goal. And for most men particularly, their goal is, I want to be worth X.
Right.
$10 million. I want this. In fact, there's a recent study that says no matter what your net worth is, most people want 2 to 5X what they have. You can be a billionaire and you want more. So my second question when it comes to generational wealth is, well, what do you want?
Right.
Do you want a wine collection? Do you want a boat? Do you like cigars? And what's it going to cost for this life? And that sounds like such a simple question, Adrian, but getting to the point of actually knowing what you want and then tying a dollar amount to it now and 3 years and 5 years and 10 years is the first thing I say is, let's get clear on what you want, what your life looks like, and then let's build a map around generational wealth.
So true, JP. I mean, I remember the early days, you would get mad at me and say, what do you want to see in your bank account?
Oh, I know.
And I was like, I just don't want to bounce checks. I mean, really, that was the start. But when you do create that actual number and figure out what is it you really want?
Yeah.
With hard work and the universe aligning, a lot of those things become attainable.
Yeah.
And I would have never have thought it or believed it, but I want to say you and I are living proof of it.
Yeah.
We're not freaking out with bills that we have to pay. And we used to freak out with that. So now
my wife's trips to Whole Foods would freak me out when the kids were young. Stop buying organic, damn it.
That was like the attorney or our friend that told us, when we said, now that we're making a little more money, our families and wives are spending more. And he said, there's only one solution. Make more money.
Make more money.
That's it.
Yeah.
So now, as we're making more, how do we protect it? What do we do?
Right.
And I think, that family trust, God, you did a lot sooner than I did.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of idea of lack of control that when you understand it better, you realize, no, you actually do have control.
Yeah.
The key is, how do we make sure we can pass it along for the things that we want
Right.
to pass it along
Well,
to.
if I'm going to take one step backwards, Adrian, I always say, and this is a borrowed saying, is that really what is the goal here? And I think the ultimate goal is you want to wake up happy and go to sleep peacefully. So if you have your wealth together, then you can do that, just that, because wealth really, ultimately, wealth is lack of stress,
Yes.
lack of baby diapers at Whole Foods, lack of your wife saying, Adrian, is this going to work?
Yeah.
Right? Is this going to work? And so if you kind of work it backwards from that perspective, I just want to like bring it out.
So true.
So once you know that, like the wealth is there, I would say that wealth is really, it's money. Part of wealth is currency. So you've got the energy to do things and not stress
Yeah.
and pay your bills. I think it's also purpose.
How do you want to create things with your wealth?
Once you relax, a lot of people get bored. Or a lot of people like, oh, I'm going to double the size of my company. But why?
Yeah.
Or like, what was the purpose? What was the legacy? What's the mission or vision for your family? Not just for your business, but for your family, your life. What are you here to do?
And no one can judge it. I mean, if somebody says, I want to have 5 vacation homes, great. That's not our style, but that's their style.
Totally.
Let them do it.
Yeah.
But I think you're really pinpointing the right thing, and that is a lot of people want ideas of what they think would be great, but you need to figure out what it is exactly you want.
And so many people, Adrian, now that I've been mentoring a lot of the younger generation, they don't know what they want. And so I'm really encouraging people, like for instance, you and I both, like family is a top value for us. So you think about what is wealth? It's your health, it's your family, it's your purpose, it's your community, it's your society. And I think those are the main ones. There's some other ones, but like that all works. Without that, I call it 4-dimensional wealth. I think if you think about the things we've been talking about in our clips, what Thrive is about, Thrive FP is about, it's this idea of like, what is true wealth when you think about it generationally? Then I think once you know what you want, just to go back to your point about estate planning, you think about it. I'm now teaching my 18-year-old this. I said, look, it's really simple. In life, if you're lucky enough to have some money, there's like 4 categories you have to think about. There's your investments. There's a tax mitigation strategy. How can you be the most tax efficient? There's estate planning, and there's asset protection.
Yep.
So you don't get sued and lose it. You got to think about how you're going to pass it. You're going to think about how it can be. This is one thing that people don't get, and I think our time with Tom will, right? It's like every dollar that you can intelligently save on taxes, not where you've always told me, and I do it too much, where I let the tail wag the dog. I try too hard sometimes. But every dollar you save, it's just like a dollar invested. It's so powerful. And so like, to me, being a good investor or being a good tax strategist, they have equal value. So I kind of see it as almost like these 4 things that when you're doing right is perfect generational wealth. You just went down the first one, which is how do I pass it, right? And that's a super important one.
It is.
Right?
And real estate tends to work very well with that.
Incredibly well.
Because you actually have a hard asset. And if you do own a good asset at the right price and you can own it, call it 10 plus years, that passes through to the next generation very well.
Well, Adrian, you know my favorite saying, I'm a big fan of 1031s because the idea is you try to kick the can till you kick the can.
Right.
And meaning that if you can find things to do along the way without forcing it, ultimately the tax that you would have owed on all those upside, that all the profits you made, gets washed out when it goes to the next generation, especially if it's set up properly. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying to do that right now.
It's hard.
If you'll let me.
It's hard.
We have a 1031 opportunity coming up, and we're going back and forth on, do you pay the taxes? This is like real, like, Adrian's point is pay the taxes now. We have an incredibly attractive capital gains rate.
I'm so grateful. We have a lot of very smart people on our side, from tax strategists, CFOs, and we're pretty good at real estate and figuring these things out. But really, we've set up charitable trust. We've set up asset protection,
LLCs, family trust.
And it is, someone that I know well that is extremely wealthy. And he said, I've been working on my family trust for 15 years and counting. There are always going to be tweaks. You need to have a good foundation, and life changes. Our needs change. All of a sudden, we have an impactful give that we want to give because your church or temple, what's going on in the Middle East, and you're feel like you have that call to duty
Yeah.
to make that big investment, well, we're set up for some of those things already.
Yeah.
And those are the things you got to think about.
Yeah. And I would say I actually had lunch with a very successful up and rising CEO last night. And I think he's working his butt off. He's making a lot of money, but he's like, what's the point? I'm a workaholic.
Right.
And so I do think that when you think about generational wealth, you really have to think about freedom. That wealth is just a currency. It's just an energy.
It is.
It's like your health is an energy. If you've got good health, you've got good energy, right? If you have bad health and you're in disease, you usually have low energy, right? So I kind of like this. And I think money is the same way. It gives you the energy. Then the question is, what do you do with that energy? Are you just working to make more of it, which just seems kind of circular, unless you love doing that? Or are you contributing like a philanthropist or doing these amazing things that a lot of people keep saying, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
I'm now on my next quest. And I think that's what I think, even with the podcast, Investing on Purpose, and what we say a lot of times is like, this person was in their late 30s last night. And I think they thought, well, I've got the energy. I'm in my mid 30s. I said, yeah, well, how much longer you've got?
Yeah.
What else do you want in your generational wealth plan? Like, and we went through, you know what he ultimately said he wanted? He wanted to go hiking for a couple weeks a year. I'm like, I think you can afford that now.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can afford hiking today. So why are you working so hard where you're going to burn yourself out? And I think, honestly, it's habit.
Yeah.
And it's also society.
Sure.
We're greatly rewarded. Wealth is like a status. Money, wealth is a status, and it sounds good. But as you know, there's always someone wealthier than you, bigger car, bigger house.
Agree.
Right?
And I would say, I think one of the biggest misconceptions is associating happiness with wealth.
Oh, yeah.
I just totally disagree. I know a lot of very, very wealthy people that are not happy.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of very happy people that aren't extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
So these things can actually help with that happiness.
Yeah.
Because things are structured. You have a plan. It's like, if you're going to work out and you don't know what you want to work out with, is it outside running? Is it at the gym? Do I want to do chest? Do I want to do leg? When you don't know, it's confusing.
Right. And when you get there, you don't even know you don't even know you achieved it. And there's no satisfaction in it.
So setting these things up, I think, helps create that. And we both agree, money it's a strategy. I call it, it gives you more weapons to deal with things that pop up.
Super fun.
It is.
It's great to be able to give to a charity when you need to, or you have a family member in trouble, or I just booked an incredible vacation. Yes, I did. I'm going business class, but my kids aren't.
They got to earn it.
They got to earn it.
They got to earn it. So, and never, I don't know about you, no one ever taught us this. No one ever taught me all this.
We've been making this up as we go along. Adrian, you think about Thrive. We talk about wealth the right way. I think it was in our instinct, in our Thrive FP, for purpose, for profit. I think that this has been in us for a long time, wealth the right way. And I think what I'd like to do with you, Adrian, is like in the next 90 days, is come up with like a specific strategy. And we've talked about this. I think we know, because all these strategies in these 4 categories we've done personally. And maybe what we'll do is we'll do either a podcast, or maybe we'll even do a little leave behind to help people, guide them through. Because I know a lot of people, this is overwhelming. It is complex. I tell my kids, here's the thing. Wealth is a game. Think of the Matrix. Some people don't know if they're in the Matrix. I don't know. I don't know if this is reality or virtual reality, but I don't really care whether we're in reality or virtual. What I care about is there's a game. Yeah. The game is called life. Part of the game of life is the game of money. And if you don't know the rules, or don't even know first of all, most people don't know it's a game. And they're just stuck in scarcity, which is the number one reason, by the way, for depression and anxiety in the world. Is lack of money ranks number 1 over anything else. Over 50% of people report this feeling of scarcity. I deal with it a lot of times talking to people who feel like they're in a hot hole. So once you know there's a game, wake up and say, guys, there's a game out there, and we can help you with the rules. There's all kinds of hints, but there's no manual. You can read a little bit here, but it's an actual game, and we're giving you today just the basis of that game. And we'll help you kind of along the way, along this journey with Adrian. We're going to help you, give you more ideas of how to play the game. What is the game? I'll give you one hint today. We'll leave you with this one hint. And this really came from Tom Wheelwright, our CPA. He said, JP, he's like, you show me a country's tax code, and I'll tell you exactly what the government wants you to do. And he says, all these people out there think that like it's about trying to evade the government and not pay taxes. He goes, you don't get the game. The government's telling you what it wants you to do. Invest in solar,
And
invest in oil exploration,
real
and we'll give you
estate.
invest in real estate, and we're going to give you a reward. You're not tricking the government. You're doing exactly what they want. They win, you win. So this idea of like having it's me versus the government, you're playing the wrong game.
Hey, I used to work 60 plus hours a week counseling, making $23,400 a year. And I always got money back on my taxes. I don't get any more money back now.
We had a big check we paid yesterday.
Big taxes.
Tax day was yesterday.
But I prefer where I am today than then. Not at what I was doing, but paying taxes isn't a bad thing. It means you're making money. It's how effective are you at protecting your money, saving your money, investing your money. That's the key.
It is. Anyways, I think it's a pretty good chapter. We don't want to go on too long. And there's going to be follow-ups to these. We're going to
Yes.
take you through the roadmap, give you more detail, because really, ultimately, whether you're an investor at Thrive or you're just in our community, we really are here to empower you that you can make great risk-adjusted decisions. Adrian always says, I'm here to empower and inspire our investors and our friends in our community.
That's it.
Hey, hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you did, like us, subscribe. We love your comments. Please give us your feedback and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Thank you.